Hello everyone, thank you so much for joining us. Today's edition of Alumni Pride. Thank you so much. I'm Wayne McCullough, and with me is a person I'm very proud to say is a friend of mine from the class of 1985 at Susquehannock High School, Todd Stiffler. Todd, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Wayne.
One of the reasons I'm proud to introduce Todd is not only is he still a resident of our community, but he was very active here at Susquehannock High School as a student, and he's still active as a community member in many, many programs that take place throughout the community. So Todd Stiffler, truly a man I have great respect for, a man who's done a lot for the high school and continues to do a lot for the high school. So again, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it on today's edition of Alumni Pride. Todd, let's go back to 1985. You were student council president. Tell us a little bit about that experience.
Yeah, I was student council president, and one of the things, as we had talked about before, that I fondly remember about being president is Elwood Ruth, and he actually led the student council for quite a few years out here at Susquehannock. And one of the main projects that we had when I was the president was to kind of project the amount of student growth that was going to happen over the course of the next few years, and see what our facilities needed to have to be updated. And ironically enough, it surpassed our projections at that time.
Yeah, it's kind of neat when you think back, Mr. Ruth. You know, when you think back to some of those kind of teachers that really had an impact, and you can't almost, for me anyway, I can't think back of some of those people without smiling.
Oh, absolutely.
And Mr. Ruth is one of those. But tell us about some of the other teachers you remember affectionately.
Well, you know, even back through the middle school, I remember several teachers. I remember Dave Wakeland, and also Jim McKinney and folks like that were instrumental in our 7th grade year. They were always kept the classes pretty loose and taught you a great deal about a lot of things that went on. But in the high school level, I remember Mrs. Adams. She taught us quite a bit about how to write and a lot about English, and learned a great deal from her. Mr. Naylor, I remember from math, actually one of the more difficult subjects I had in school out here in trigonometry, and I'm sure he'll profess that I was not one of his strongest students out here in that subject, but I persevered, and in college I actually did quite well in that subject when I moved on. So I enjoyed my time out here, and I could go on and list several other teachers that I have fond memories of.
My favorite Mr. Wakeland story. I was student council president at the middle school, and we were going on a roller skating trip, and it cost everyone $1. So all the students had to pay $1, and of course I was collecting $1 from everyone. So I got the money to hand to Mr. Wakeland. Of course the students gave it to me, you know, they were balled up in all different ways. So I handed the money to Mr. Wakeland like this. He looked at me and said, "Don't you ever handle money like that to anybody." So he said, "They got to all be going the right direction, they got to be facing the right way." And to this day, my children, you know, they get in my wallet, as children do, and every dollar has to be facing the exact same way. And they look at me and say, "What is wrong with you?" You know, I said, "Well, that goes way back to Mr. Wakeland when he got me in that habit." But it's amazing how some of those things influence you like that.
The small stories that stick with you, and you continue to do it day in and day out. I think that's more of a banker issue, but I can see Dave Wakeland being very firm about his conviction on that. So.
Yep. Student council president. You mentioned it was right before the renovation that came in 1987. So you guys probably had some input and some influence in some of that.
Yes, there were quite a few committees that we had to, with I would say a handful of students from Susquehannock, that we actually would project what we would recommend what we felt was lacking in the school in facilities and in programs, things along that line. And we made our recommendations after polling other kids in our school, parents, and other people in the community. And I think it was a pretty educational experience for me, that I learned to to look outside the box a little bit and think of not what's here today, but what's going to be 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the road. And like I said, we had no idea the growth that we would experience here in a rapid time frame in the late 80s and early 90s, and seems to have steadied a little bit here, but I'm looking forward to future growth here.
Today on Alumni Pride, we're talking with Todd Stiffler, the class of 1985, Susquehanna High School. Todd, tell us a little bit about what you do now.
Right now I am a director of sales for a building material independent company by the name of Old Castle, and the company that I work for out of that Old Castle umbrella is Bonsall American, and I directly represent and promote the manufacturing and the selling of Sackcrete cement mixes and related products. Cover really, as the director, 17 people report to me, and we really operate currently east of the Mississippi, but we are expanding to the West Coast and southeast.
When you talk about that kind of wide stretching in your marketing background and so forth, I'm always interested to look back at your high school, but do you think being student council president had any impact on what you do now?
Yes, I do. I think the one thing that it really helped me with is to deal with people and to learn that you have a lot of different people that you have to get going in the same direction and work together as a team. And I think not only did being a student council president help in that, but also participating in sports and coaching sports, things along that line have been instrumental in helping me in the position that I am in right now. It's everything in business is a competitive nature, and I think that part of the sports background that I have aligns itself pretty well with my job. But student council president allowed me to think and plan and project and forecast and a lot of things along that line.
One of the things I also find interesting is it seems like so many people, and I'm in the same boat, decided to come back, live in the community that I grew up. You do that also. It's the affection, there's something that drew us back.
Yeah, I enjoyed my experience here at Susquehanna High School and excuse me, in Southern School District. My family's from here. We really have not vacated this area, and I enjoy the area, and the changes have been positive, and I thought it was a great place to start a family and a great school to have my children grow up in.
Talk about family, and I say this with so much pride, and I know you have the same pride, but your parents, Jane and Larry Stiffler, are two absolute gems, and in my life, but many, many other people's life. Your father, who actually now works for the school district as a mechanic, but a baseball coach. He had coached me for years, and he's known for coaching many, many years of American Legion baseball here in Glen Rock, but also town team baseball locally in the Central League, Susquehanna Leagues, and so forth. But a person also who has given so much to the community. And your mother, Jane, who has worked locally, was the Glen Rock State Bank for many, many years before the whole selling, all that went on. But there's very few people in our community that your parents have not had impact on, whether through sports, banking, church-related things. Two people that I have great respect for. So there's, you talk about yourself and your two brothers, Andrew and Kevin Stiffler. There's no doubt in my mind why you guys ended up like you are, and that's because of two wonderful parents.
Well, thank you, and I would agree. So they've instilled a lot of good traits in us, and hard work and having good values, and I think that's a wonderful thing for my parents to have done, and I look to do that for my children, and also look to give back to the community here as well, and try to help and coach and make this a much better community to live in and work in.
Well, you're doing that, and the thing that amazes me is anybody that has children, first of all, you know how busy you are, and your work requires travel, yet you still find time to coach youth basketball, other youth sports, as well as be a member of the Susquehanna High School Alumni Association Steering Committee. You talk about giving back, but why is the Alumni Association important to you and the activities that they do?
Well, I feel that, around here we need to provide more things for the children to do, and The Alumni Association provided the field house. All the funds were raised through actually a lot of your hard work, Wayne, but
whole group.
and the rest of the committee. And we really need to grow and continue to grow and make this a first-class school district from all facets of it. And I think, I thank my wife for being patient with me at times to allow me to coach and continue doing that. And when I was your assistant for, I believe, 9 years out here at the high school basketball level, she was very patient with me. And now that we have young children, it makes it a little bit easier to come out and coach, but it's still a struggle with having 4 children.
Yeah, I think both of us would agree that we're fortunate that we married up.
That's true.
We were very lucky.
Absolutely.
And I think I don't think Karen or Becky would hesitate to say that either.
No, I think they would agree.
Talk about some of the activities you're involved in and the importance of developing community. But one of the things that I think is neat, and the Southern York County's community, not necessarily just the school district, but the community as a whole, I think seems unique. You talk about, you think about some of the activities we had last year just in the Alumni Association, where we had a golf tournament with Randy and Duke Etzel returning. It
was wonderful.
It was. I mean, the community atmosphere that was there was just tremendous.
Yes, and what was great about it was not seeing some people that haven't seen for about 10 years. Some of them even 20, 25 years that we haven't seen them. And I would like to see that event get much bigger and stronger, and look to promote that a little bit more this year, along with other ideas that other people bring to us in the committees, and see if we can grow this Alumni Association to bigger and better levels.
One of Todd Stiffler's ideas was to have an alumni newsletter. And starting late fall, I guess we had our first edition alumni newsletter that went out to 700 alumni who are registered on our school district website. And if you're alum or know other alumni, encourage them to register, because we're now emailing over 700 alumni newsletters out to people. And that was your idea, and so I congratulate you on that.
It was my idea. However, it took me quite a few years to get myself registered on that alumni website. I just recently have done it after a little prodding from Wayne and a few others. So.
But what a great networking thing.
Absolutely.
If you can imagine that newsletter in December, in January it's going to be going out here, but in December over 700 people received the newsletter in 12 different countries, including 30 service people serving our country.
That's impressive.
It is. That's kind of neat. And whenever it goes out, I get comments back. Thanks for sharing the information, and gosh, it makes my day to see that good things are going on at Susquehannock. And it's really neat. And actually, Dale Kagi, who is the executive director of the foundation, deserves a lot of credit for that also. But it's kind of a neat tool to get information out about Susquehannock High School.
I would agree.
So here's a nice opportunity to plug, but go to the school district website, www.syc.k12.pa.us, and there's an alumni link, I guess is what you call it, but click on the alumni link, and if you're not registered, get registered. And there's also many other neat things. For example, Jack Hedrick, who was from the class, I want to say, of 1954, but this summer his spouse had passed away. And he called me and said, gosh, he's lonely and so forth, but he got on the website and found former classmates that were friends and had emailed them, and ultimately went to visit them over the summer. And he said what a great resource that was for him to get reconnected with friends. So I think that's neat. Absolutely,
and I think that's, with Bob Williams being on the committee and being from that same era, I think he appreciates it, and he's been wonderful in spearheading a lot of our initiatives as well.
Many of you remember Todd Stiffler as coaching here at Susquehannock High School. You mentioned 9 years as an assistant varsity basketball coach for the Warriors. A couple good memories you had there.
Oh, a lot of good memories. The kids, first and foremost, our friendship, and just the ability to take a team, a group of kids from not many wins to quite a few wins, and getting into districts and ultimately states. I think that was really a testament to you, Wayne. But I enjoyed every moment of what we experienced together out here.
Yeah, well, don't give me too much credit. Really, it was a team effort.
Absolutely. Well, I agree, but I think you provided the leadership.
Well, I think one of the neat things, and I was telling somebody this over the weekend, as you coach youth and I'm coaching your son, you're coaching rink boys basketball. I'm coaching rink girls basketball, so a little bit of a transition. But there's still something neat about taking a team and trying to develop them throughout the season. That's really that I absolutely love.
Absolutely. Someday we'll see you in a girls capacity coaching at a high school level.
Well, I am. No, I'm coaching the 8-year-olds. That's where I'm good at. But it is a lot of fun. You're active in the community. You're active here still at the school district. You work full time. In fact, you lead a whole East Coast marketing sales team for a major corporation. I don't know how you get it all done. You still do things at church and so forth, and yet I think the last I count, your family is still growing also.
It's done growing
Okay.
now. It's done growing. But my wife Karen and 4 children, a boy and 3 girls. So they need some time for me as well. And I think I try to do as much as I can, and sometimes I say yes too many times, but learning that sometimes you have to say no and just be in a support network.
Tell us a little bit about your brothers. We mentioned Kevin and Andrew, what they're up to right now.
My brother Kevin he's living in Central School District, but he teaches math at Spring Grove Intermediate, and he also helps out, assists with the baseball. That's near and dear to him. He was a basketball coach at one point. And my brother Andrew is a phys ed teacher for the elementary level at Central. And, excuse me one second, and he is also living up in that Central School District, and is also assisting the high school coach up at Central with basketball. And that seems to be his passion.
Yeah, 2 wonderful young men, obviously. Think back to growing up. In Glen Rock, we grew up a little bit more than a stone's throw away from each other. Sure. But the neighborhood, you talk about Duke and Randy Etzel, Susan Barnhart, who teaches out at Friendship. There was something unique about that neighborhood.
I had a lot of fond memories. We had a lot right behind, actually my house, and Randy and Duke Etzel's house. We lived right next to each other, and right behind our lot there was many sporting activities played there on a regular basis. Wiffle ball, football, and that lot is still there, much smaller, but it's still there, and houses have been built up around it. And what I remember most about growing up is that we'd get home from school, or in the summer we'd get up in the morning and in the summer and go out and play, and we wouldn't come in until dark. And when we got home from school, we'd do our homework, get outside as quick as we possibly could. That's the only thing that I see that's different today than many years ago, is that children just don't play outside quite as much as they used to in growing up.
Yeah, and it's easy for us to say they're missing that, and I don't know. I guess it's because what we're trying to do is compare them to what we enjoyed and what we had fun. And I was the same way, because I tell many times, on a good summer day, we had 500 at bats. You go to Little League practice now, you get 5, 6, 7 swings. Yeah. We had that before 8 o'clock in the morning.
And I think it taught you a lot about the individual sports that you play, and a lot of the nuances in each game, and things that we take for granted now when we coach or we play, that kids should know that. And I find myself catching myself every now and then expecting somebody to know something, and they don't remember that or know, or we're never taught that. And I think it's just because we were out playing a little bit more. But my son and my daughter, they love playing electronic games now, and it's a little bit more of a difficulty to get them outside. I guess the communities aren't quite as, they're more spread out, and it's not as condensed where you have children playing at one park or one facility on a regular basis. And that's the one change I see. So we try to organize it a little bit more, but it's better when the parents stay out of it, I think.
I think you're right. And I guess time will tell whether it's better or not. Our first impression is it's not. Yeah. And but I don't know. It'll be interesting. Certainly, one thing that's different also is the skills they'll need to be successful. So in some ways, the skills that you developed through playing in the backyard made you successful in working with people, successful here at high school, successful moving on. And the only way I can rationalize it is thinking that what they're learning will make them successful in the world that they're going to live in.
And I think that makes a lot of sense. I mean, we're so electronically driven today with a lot of the things that we have to work with and work around and use. And a lot of things that the kids are playing with, they know how to operate a lot of the instruments a lot better than I do.
Oh, Kelsey sets my cell phone. And every now and then a ring will go off. It'll have some Latin beat or something. I'll say, Kelsey, get over here and fix it back. Put a regular ring on there. That kind of thing. Yeah, I don't know how to do any of that kind of stuff.
And it's probably because we don't take the time to, but it is definitely, they've grown up with it, and they know how to access things pretty easily.
Today on Alumni Pride, we're speaking with Mr. Todd Stiffler, the class of 1985. Folks, I hope through the brief period we had, you get a sense of what a quality man that Todd Stiffler is. Student Council President here at Susquehannock High School from 1985, has returned to our community, leads a major company as the East Coast Marketing Sales Director, very, very successful in the world of business, yet takes time to coach youth in our community, yet takes time to be active as a member of our Alumni Association Steering Committee, still sees great value in giving back to our community, truly for our children, but also for our overall community as a whole. Todd, I don't mind saying this, and I say this in all sincerity. I know you know it's true too. You're a man I have great respect for, as much as anybody I've ever met, with integrity, and I value our friendship also. We spent much money, many times, good and bad times, coming off the basketball floor after some hard wins or some bad losses, and many ups and down times and so forth, trying to find the right answers of a way to make things improve and be better for our basketball team. And I guess in some sense we're doing that now in the Alumni Association and in other ways. Sure. But I appreciate so very much you, your family, as I mentioned, your mother and father, Jane and Larry Stiffler, two people I have great, truly respect for, who, there's no secret to why you and your brothers turned out the way you did also, as well as your brothers, Andrew and Kevin. I could sit here and talk a long time about those two guys also. But thank you so much. Today on Alumni Pride, Mr. Todd Stiffler from the class of 1985 at Susquehannock High School, truly one that all of us at Susquehannock High School, all of us in the Southern York County School District can say with great pride, we have great pride in Todd Stiffler and his family. So, for Alumni Pride, for Mr. Todd Stiffler.
Thank you, Wayne, for having me.
Yep. For Mr. Tim Hare, the Video 3 teacher here at Susquehannock High School, for Mr. Mark Rill, Channel 99 Warrior TV manager, I'm Wayne McCullough. Thank you so much for joining us on Alumni Pride. I'll catch you next time.